Hey, it's Lolo, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Congratulations on your new publishing with APG like that. I mean, being an independent artist, that's such an incredible feat, especially at a time like this where, you're stuck with your own, head trying to write constantly and constantly and constantly. Talk to me about that publishing and how did this kind of come about for you?
Yeah, well, first off, hello. Thanks for having me. Yeah, well, I mean, I've been songwriting for I guess, as long as I can, well, not as long as I can remember. I always wrote down my feelings. I used to keep a diary when I was a little kid. And so then when I started trying songwriting, it kind of just came natural. So I guess I've really been like writing out my feelings my whole life. But yeah, the publishing thing kind of just happened really recently. And I actually got discovered by them because I was making TikToks. And I don't know if you've seen the trend on TikTok. I think it started first with the Hey There Delilah, like changing the point of view to like the girl. So I started doing that with a bunch of songs, and they like found me through that actually. And then I think they checked out my music, and the rest was history. So yeah, it's been really awesome. I guess I'm a professional songwriter now, which is crazy.
So now that now that you have this team behind you, how did your actual songwriting kind of change? Do you feel like it impacted you in any way, like as far as like you building the songs, or do you just see that kind of impact once you release the music?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely impacts me. Like Mike Karen, who is a legend. I used to always like I would like listen to And the Writer Is and like listen to what he said and whatever. And I actually remember Ross Golan said that like anyone that's signed under Mike Karen from now on has like a little Mike Karen on their shoulder being like, you should do this, think about that, think about that. And I was like, interesting. And that totally happened to me. Like, so yeah, it definitely impacted my songwriting for the better. I think it's just like, I mean, I still have the same process and stuff, but I'm definitely, thinking about more things and kind of like thinking about making like, I guess the perfect song, if that even exists. But yeah, definitely thinking about all the advice that him and the whole team is giving me constantly.
So what was that transition period for you going from the diary to the actual lyrics and the music
Okay.
that we hear today?
Yeah. So, okay. So, funny enough, so I always kept a diary, but I was very, very self conscious about anyone reading it. I like had the type of parents that like always come in my room without knocking, like that kind of vibe in my house. So I would like, whenever I was feeling sad, happy, mad, etc., I'd write out all my feelings, and then I would rip it up into little pieces and throw it in the garbage because I could not risk anyone reading that shit. Um, but then when I was at the beginning of high school and I started guitar lessons, my guitar teacher was like, "Oh, you have a great voice. Like, you should try writing songs." And I was like, my diary, people hearing it? Absolutely not. Not happening. And he's like, "I'm not coming back next week unless you have a song." And I was like, okay. So I did it, and it ended up feeling amazing, and it was like natural, as I said before. But after that, I like from that moment I was like, okay, I know what I want to do with my life. I actually previously had always wanted to be on Broadway. That was like my dream, to be Elphaba and Wicked. But right after that day I was like, oh, I have to do this. And then so from then on, I kind of just kept writing. I met a bunch of people in Toronto by going to open mics and stuff. I met different writers, different producers, just like kind of found my crew. And then when the kid actually, I started writing with artists like all over, like people in LA that I never would have gotten the chance to write with, and New York, all over the place. So that's kind of, I guess, this journey of progression of the songwriting.
As you're going through this like artist development process, how did you come to the sound that you create today? Like, what was it about this sound that made you feel like, one, it's you, and two, like kind of discovering your identity as an artist? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for every artist, finding your sound is always like the hardest part because it's always changing, right? I mean, when I was younger and putting out my first few songs, I thought that was really cool. And now what I'm doing now, I think is really cool. So I don't know if it's so much as like finding your sound or if it's more like finding your sound right now. But I mean, I have always like, I grew up listening to like Avril Lavigne and Green Day and Weezer and Hilary Duff also. Those are my faves. So I think it kind of makes sense what I'm doing now, like kind of an amalgamation of all of that together. So it's been really fun just developing that. I mean, I've always like from the get-go, since I've been putting out music, had like guitar centric songs, but I think as I've kind of like progressed and matured and like come into my own and kind of like stopped caring about what I think other people would like and more so doing things that I would like, it's been, I guess that's kind of how I found my sound now.
The fact that you did stop caring, you recently released Lonely and Pathetic, which is a very kind of vulnerable song, if you ask me. Like, so, so I'm sure that wasn't such an easy process for you to be okay to do that. So like, what was that like for you in the writing process, and how challenging was it in the recording process?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that song is actually a funny story because I was feeling like shit one day at the end of fall recently. And I wrote it kind of as a joke because I was just like, oh, why do I feel like shit again? Really? Like after all this, after all I've been through, like I'm back to like rock bottom feeling like shit again. So I wrote the chorus on my guitar and I sent it to my producers like as a joke, and I was like, haha. And they were like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, let's work on this. So we worked on it. We recorded it in the studio, and you could actually hear on the song, like from that day, I was laughing while recording it because I was like, this is kind of funny. Like, this is my, like, it's kind of like a joke. Like, you know, I mean, it's not a joke. I mean, my life was kind of a joke at that moment. And I sent it off to APG actually being like, oh, what do you guys think? Like, I don't know. I think this one shows my personality. And they were like, we love this. This needs to be your next single. And I was like, really? And yeah, and the rest was history. I actually was gonna release a different song in the new year, but like a different song was gonna be my first song back. But then everyone was like, no, you gotta release that song. I was like, okay.
Would you say that this, because they love this song so much, and because, you know, the fans, the audience that are listening to it, I feel like are really gravitating towards it. So do you feel that kind of changed your mindset on what you're currently working on, or is this
Yeah.
the lane you were initially going through?
Yeah, no, it definitely was the lane I was going through. I guess, yeah, it kind of just made me think about things a bit differently in terms of like maybe lyrics a bit. I mean, I always had the mindset, I think it was Eminem and 8 Mile, like how he like just makes fun of himself so the other guy can't make fun of him or whatever. So I actually like really took that to heart always. And I guess I kind of do the same thing, like just make fun of myself, call myself a train wreck, nightmare, weirdo, so that no one else can call that to me. Or if they do, I'm just like, yeah, I said it in my song. I am aware. Like, so yeah, I guess it's just it has kind of made me think about things differently, or just I guess I never thought like, oh, maybe like people wouldn't like this. It's too weird or whatever. But then people did like it. So
What would you say was the biggest challenge in kind of discovering yourself with your music?
honestly, probably like kind of that, like caring about what other people would think or would like. I mean, like I remember like a couple of years ago, I was writing songs because I was like, oh, like I want to write this like perfect pop song that can be on the radio. And until I kind of stopped caring and was like, you know what? No, I just want to make a song that I like and that like I can sing all the time and be like, this is cool. I think that is kind of like how I found myself and my sound, I guess. Just trying not to care. Obviously, I'm not like, oh, I don't care what anyone says. I'm perfect. Like, no, obviously not. Obviously, I'm still human and I care, but I care way less than I used to for sure.
Now, for those fans that just recently discovered you, myself included, you know, what else can they expect as far as like more material coming out from you? And like, are you giving us like a story of your life, or are you kind of changing it up as far as topics go?
Yeah, I'm definitely giving you a story of my life for sure. My next two singles, one of them has death in the title and one of them has die in the title. So that's how it's going. No, I'm just kidding. But they do have that in the title. But yeah, I guess I am definitely, you know, giving a story of my life. I really do like when people release singles, it kind of like is a story and makes sense. So it will be doing that. And yeah, my next single comes out April 9th. So woo.
That's awesome. And the fact that you've
Yeah.
been killing it on TikTok with these like perspective videos, do you imagine doing the same with your music eventually? Like just kind of considering like maybe like a B-sides or something of a song?
Yeah, oh my God, that would be so cool. I never thought about that, like doing that. That would be really sick. Someone actually on Instagram tagged me in this thing where they did like a guy version of Lonely Pathetic and they changed the
That's
words.
awesome.
And like they did it to me and I was just like, oh, someone's done this to me now. This is
That's
insane.
awesome.
So yeah, anyone out there, feel free to do it. It gives me a lot of joy.
Now I noticed a lot of your fans, a lot of your new fans, watched the video and commented saying that what introduced them to your music was your Taylor Swift's Betty perspective, and which was a big success on TikTok. Can you tell me a little bit about like how that writing process came about for that specific track or that perspective?
Yeah, totally. I've been a huge Taylor Swift fan like since she came out because I just think that she is, she's the storyteller of our century. Like she's amazing. So her songwriting has always kind of like been an inspiration to me. So of course, when Folklore came out, I thought it was so freaking cool that she had 3 songs that like were all from the different perspective. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like I never seen that on an album. Maybe it exists, but I never listened to it. And so I thought I should do Betty because actually what I thought the lyric was the worst thing I ever did was fall in love with you. For some reason, I was singing that, which is what I ended up making the lyric for my version. And I was like, oh wait, it'd be really cool if like we heard Betty's side. And so I just started writing it. I like did a little like I did like 4 lines, just didn't even think about it. I didn't even think I did it such a great job. I thought I did it in 5 seconds, posted it, and then it stayed at like 200 views for a while too. And then I think some girl posted it on like the Taylor Swift Reddit or something, and then it just like blew up. And after that, I was like, oh shit, I have to write the rest of it. So then I actually spent time writing the rest. But that's kind of the story of that. I'm like praying that Taylor Swift notices me one day because that would be sick.
How sick would a collaboration like that be though? Like
Don't say that, I'm gonna melt. I just faint and the interview is over. Thanks for
Right,
watching.
seriously.
Yeah.
Like, damn. Well, hopefully that could be a possibility. Not the fainting, the collaboration, of course.
I would die. Like we wouldn't be able to do a collab because I would be dead. Yeah, that would be amazing.
So then that would be the 3rd song with Die in it. So
yeah,
it works.
I swear I'm a happy person. No, I actually am happy. I swear. It's just I've had a complex love life, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that you kind of discovered yourself like through your music, because I feel like this is something that, not only is it helping you, but I feel at the same time it's helping a lot of us, especially through these like crazy times of a year or 2 years now that we're going through. So thank you so much for being yourself and doing what you do, and thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.